And with game 2, I guess we've been already talking about what we think enemy may need to do. Is it going to be healing? Do we ban? Maybe we just ban Terra, because it seems there's more crossover with Terra than anything else. But I do think that combination of Best and DJ in the early game was just so strong.
The problem is with Best, like we mentioned, you can ban out his Poseidon, you could ban out Thoth from him or whatever, and then he just picks Scylla and wipes your team, or Zeus and destroys you in the early game. You just can't. I don't think you can focus on banning out Best. He's gonna have a great game no matter what you put him on. So if I'm on enemy, I probably do want to take away that Terra, or at least don't pick Hercules to encourage Divios to get that counter matchup in that solo lane. I'm not sure that Divios would have played the Terra if it wasn't for that. Maybe he would have, but I'd like to see them at least give something to Uruzis that can try and kill that Terra in lane.
Well, enemy are going to be first to pick once more. Eager with the counter pick. We'll see if the bans and picks are the same, or if we're going to see things switch up once more. Ratatoskr from enemy and Circuit from Eager.
Got a couple bans here. Chaos was very effective on that Thoth overall. I think he ended the game with the top player damage, but the ultimates just weren't quite there from him. I wouldn't be surprised if they go away from it this time around.
This has got to be Zeus for enemy. If they ban Zeus game 1 and they pick Sylvanus, then I guess you ban Sylvanus, pick Zeus, right?
Yeah.
That's just
the Sylvanus didn't work, so we just do the Zeus. Exactly, one or the other in this case.
So obviously it tells me that enemy didn't really feel that Sylvanus brought enough to the table for him in that game. I can see that as well. The sustain was kind of there. He did get some decent ultimates off at times, but he was a focal target of the enemy team.
Absolutely, and this has been what Pain likes to play so far in Season 4, are these immobile sort of Guardians. I'd imagine that they're going to look to maybe pick up a Ymir that he's been so comfortable on, try and take fights in the jungle where Zeus excels and Ymir excels. Kabrakan and Guan Yu going to be the 2 picks for Eager. I love it. I mean, the Guan Yu, I think, was the biggest factor for Eager in that victory. Aurora on that Guan Yu, and then Kabrakan, we've seen how prevalent he's become in Season 4 with his good early clear, his excellent CC potential out of the jungle and the solo lane and the support role. So 2 flex picks here for Eager that definitely have that bring a lot of tankiness and initiation.
The scary thing is, they're both suspect of where are they going too.
Yeah.
But all of them can jungle, all of them can support, all of them can solo lane. That's always the the story. Ymir locked in though. More than likely for Pain to be on here, especially with the fact that Verizial has picked up that Thor. Unless we're going to see Arizes run that in the solo lane against the likes of a Kabrakan. Very
good, trying to freeze out that Tremors in the early game. I mean, you could try and go for something like that, or just really rely on your excellent wave clear as Ymir in that solo lane. Your second ability is up very, very often, very, very short cooldown.
But if you're going to have a Ymir on your team, you're going to watch out for his mobility, because someone like Poseidon will look to punish him for that if you can get the opportunity.
Absolutely, this is scary for Pain to Beyond. I mean, you had the sustain last time around on the Sylvanus that can kind of try and get you through that Kraken, as well as the protections from Wisps. You've got nothing going for you on Ymir. If you get caught out, you get hit by that Whirlpool, hit by that Kraken, you're most likely dead no matter what.
Completely agree. Xing Tian banned out by enemy, so a shot towards Divios. They don't necessarily believe that's going to be Guan Yu or Kabrakan solo lane right now. I wonder if they go with the Terror as well.
Could be. I mean, just going for the Triple Guardian comp. The last 2 times we've seen the Triple Guardian was run by Valen Squadron, and they run 2 Hunters with it.
That's true.
We've already got a traditional mid laner for Eager, so that might make them a little bit too magic heavy, and it is going to be the Terra ban. And I think enemy recognized that initiation potential for Divios out of that solo lane was just a little bit too much to handle.
We may see an Apollo again coming out here, or maybe something with a leap in terms of Hunter, just to get away from the Ymir walls, because most of these teams so far do struggle a little bit against the Ymir walls, so I can understand him investing elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, like I mentioned, enemy wants to fight you in the jungle. You've got Thor that can wall you off. You've got the Dunk for the AoE, as well as Zeus, much, much better in the jungle because he's not hitting Chain Lightning on minions. He's only hitting gods with it.
I really feel that's Amaterasu's support for some reason. I don't know why. I just think it's Amaterasu, Medusa, Ymir solo, but more than likely it's not. I just have this little sneaking suspicion.
Little itch in your tummy.
Yeah. Itch in my tummy. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Eager, I gotta finally lock in Hercules.
It's like trusting your gut, you know? You just got a little itch.
Just shut up.
Itch in the tummy.
Just stop it. Just let it go. It's painful. Hercules has been locked in for Eager now. Who do you feel on paper has the better squad here? Not actual players, I guess.
Right,
squad,
draft-wise. I really like Eager's composition. They've got a ton of lockdown, a ton of front blind potential. They're the only ones with sustain that can affect the whole team. Amaterasu has some sustain in her kit, but that's not obviously going to help anyone else on enemy squad. I think Eager, I just don't know if enemy has the potential to punch through this tanky lineup for Team Eager.
Well, I was wrong. It's Pain to Beyond and Ymir. But, you know, I could dream of seeing the Ymir solo versus potentially a Hercules, but I don't know necessarily that's a very good matchup in the grand scheme of things for either or in one way or the other. Can be pretty good if you're smart with the Ymir, though, and you can just wall the minions as he tries to Earthbreak a Driving Strike, but...
It's only going to work like once. Divios is going to be like, all right, that was cute, and then never fall for it ever again.
That is true indeed.
Divios is so excited that Hercules is back in the meta. I haven't talked to him about it, but I guarantee it's true. He loves Hercules.
I think the one thing as well is watching the start of this game, Zapman, this time on an Anher against a Ymir. It's a bit more of an awkward position for enemy to do what they did against Zap last game, even though it didn't work out very well, of denying him from these creeps, because Zap's going to invest a lot of autos into Pain, and Pain's going to eat a lot of free poke there that gets stronger the more he hits.
Yeah, I just don't know if I was enemy, if I would go with the same strategy, because like you mentioned, last time around, it just didn't really seem to work going 2v1 up against Zap in that dual lane. Enemy might be in trouble here. They got out-cleared pretty heavily, and Virizial doesn't have his hammer. Chaos also doesn't have Chain Lightning.
This is going to be a lot too. Chaos is very, very low. Berserker Barrage coming into play, but the Whirlpool is going to be enough to pick up Chaos overall. You were right. They were a little bit too far forward. Out-cleared by Eager early on. Didn't respect the situation. Instead, punished for first blood in less than a minute.
So in a 1v1 scenario, I wouldn't have any other mage but Zeus as far as who wants to clear the wave first. One of the best as far as clearing the wave relatively
Zeus
safely.
Have all of them?
Very, very clear.
Over
yeah.
Isis?
Isis is one of the ones where you can't really step up and play aggressive and use that shield. But other than maybe Isis, I don't know. I don't think I'd really have anyone else over Zeus. But in a 2v2 scenario like that, where the minions are going to get a little messed up because of how your jungler plays, you really need those minions to be clean in a line in order to clear them out, because the shield has that small AoE radius that you're going to be auto-attacking to clear the wave. And in that sense, two archers survive the push from Virizial and Chaos, and that's what really spells doom for enemy. If they were to survive, they may have had to run topside into the right-hand jungle, but even then, your Zeus, like, where are you going in that scenario?
And what we've seen from Eager's strategy at the beginning both times now is that they focus on controlling the right-hand side of the jungle completely. They disbar any investment into the left-hand side whatsoever and just leave Zapman on an island. He's basically the solo laner right now, in the same sort of look as like 2 seasons ago, where he gets left alone for the whole time in a 2v1, but it allows Eager to get so much pressure on the right. They get the blue buffs, the speed buffs on both sides of the map, and continue to pressure both those lanes.
And it's worked out so far for Eager. I mean, they look like one of, if not the strongest teams in North America and Europe. I think the level of competition as a whole in the SPL goes up every single season, and it's certainly true in Season 4. I don't think we've ever seen a more competitive league.
Could we not potentially see in the future, though, that we see mages running the dual lane in a single 1v2, just because they can clear the wave in one ability as time goes on and not have to worry so much, and then see hunters transition towards mid?
That could certainly happen, and I think that we could see someone like Snoopy take his Vulcan over to that dual lane in that sort of scenario, but the problem with that is that hunters, their items are a little bit, they take a little bit longer to get going. They're not really worried about levels as much as mages are. And you are going to get a lot of levels and a lot of items in that dual lane, and as a whole, mage items are a little bit more expensive right now than most hunter builds. I mean, you're looking at Ichabod being pretty cheap for hunters, Aussie being very cheap as well.
And that's why I raise a question, because when you look at it, mages in mid lane are going to get a little bit less gold overall, but hunter builds don't require that much gold anymore. Mages, meanwhile, do want to farm up still, and the fact is they can clear the wave in one ability and then look to rotate to help out in the jungle.
But you usually don't have that same mobility on a mage that you do on most hunters, and so that does make you a little bit more susceptible to ganks. Even if you are 2v1 and you can sit underneath your tower.
I saw an AMC. I saw an AMC the other day, aggro. Don't bring that defense to me.
That's true.
Zap going to be able to leap away just in time, though, from that freeze that came out from Pain. Good wall, though, coming out from Pain. Even if he doesn't throw the freeze there, it puts enough pressure on Zapman to be like, I have to leap here and spend mana. And as time goes on, if Pain just continues to do that, Zap's going to be wasting mana, leaping away, and putting his escape on cooldown.
And Virizial should really spend a little bit of time on this left-hand side. He's got the global ultimate this time around. We didn't see a whole lot of pressure put onto either side lane from him last game on that Bastet, but Bastet isn't the greatest as far as gank potential goes. It's kind of telegraphed that she's going to jump on top of you and use her 2, 3, ult, and then jump back. Thor has that surprise factor that Bastet really doesn't, so I'd really like to see Virizial spend a little bit more time on either side lane trying to get a kill for his team.
There's a bit of an awkward moment for Eager now, as they did invade the speed buff on the right-hand side before they did their own jungle, and because they chose to go back to base there just to invest into their boots, they don't get to invade again on the next rotation of that buff, so it's given enemy a window back into this, and this this moment where you could see Verizial start to look for gank opportunities.
Verizial still hasn't backed quite yet, doesn't have his penetration or his boots done quite yet, so I think we'll have to wait for him to back before he'll gank someone.
Yeah, good call. He's just doing that right now. Is the purple buff being done by DJ as he is on this left-hand side? So from what I can tell, is Eager's plan is control the right-hand side at the start of the game with more investment there. Then on the second rotation of buffs, it's more investment into the whole jungle and securing the whole buff section.
I think it seems to be a little bit team comp dependent as well.
That's
they want to get Zap ahead earlier on her than they did on Apollo. They're willing to wait until Apollo really starts to be effective in the mid to later stages, whereas they really want Zap to have pressure on this left-hand side a little bit earlier on to give him some kill potential onto PandaCat in lane. And the more I look at this composition from Eager, the more worried I get for Pain Divion, because there is just so much punish potential for an immobile Guardian like Ymir. Even something like Shifting Sands into Whirlpool, you're basically rooted with those two slows, and you've got no mobility to get out of a situation like that as Ymir.
Well, let's see what Pain can do in this one. Is Zapman and the rest of Eager going to secure the oracles for themselves as well? Get a free ward over there. Not miss any farm in the lane, as there is a brute in that wave too, so Zap would be quite happy about that. DJ going to soak some experience too, as Pain Divion will be heading back to base now, more than likely to finish off his boots.
PandaCat does have a 2-level lead right now in this duo lane, so you could see him play a little bit more aggressive, but DJ is here to make sure that Zap is safe for the time being. And this Cabrakan pick has huge payoff potential in this game because of how few jumps enemy has to get over that wall. It's only Verizial with the hammer that can get away from that Cabrakan ultimate without backtracking and walking back towards the rest of the team.
There seems to be a bit of a bait from enemy here, because you can see where Arizes is positioned on that Amaterasu, proxy farming the waves, hoping for a rotation to come out, and that's why Verizial was trying to hang around that area, look for the rotation, and potentially pick off somebody. But instead, everyone's quite happy. Divios is like, no problem, I can still clear the wave, and I don't need to go back, and I've got teleport if I need it, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Divios is totally fine with whatever Aruzis wants to do in this matchup, it seems, early on. He's got a little bit of a lead there, about half a level. It seems 9 to 8 as far as those levels go. But
that's that first invade, pretty much, with the speed and blue buff taken away from him. It kind of slowed down Arizes from being able to get there.
Both of these team compositions are very, very mid-game focused. Neither team has, an insane hyper carry towards the later stages. Both hunters really come online whenever they finish their second and third items. That's when they really want to start to fight. And then as well, Chaos, Zeus is probably the best late game character in this game outside of Amaterasu. But Amaterasu is great in the late game because of what she provides to her team in terms of mobility and extra damage and sieging potential and things of that nature. So I really expect around the 17 to 20 minute mark, we're going to see both these teams really start to brawl it out, because that's when their team compositions both start to shine.
Well, right now, Eager are really winning the battle over the contestable objectives on the map. We've seen them take the oracles a couple of times, the elementals as well. Enemy have done a good job of farming their jungle and keeping the lanes cleared as well and not being out of position, but they aren't winning those middle objectives. They may not seem a lot at first, but they can add up if you constantly lose them.
Absolutely. 500 gold in Eager's favor because of those contestable objectives, which isn't a big deal at this stage in the game, but it is something. That's all you can really do. If the enemy team's not going to put themselves out of position, you may as well take what you can.
Mid lane continuing to farm up. Ryan Harpy's due to spawn very soon. I'm just keeping an eye on itemization now, because we can see a couple of Oracle Elixirs invested in by Eager this time round as well. Extra wall placements for free. It doesn't work out too bad. By free, it's 400 gold, and you never have to spend any more gold on normal wards ever again. And I think with this season, if you notice, sentries have really started to drop off being purchased just lately. Look at the ward coverage. Normally, you just see sentry wards everywhere. It's more normals these days.
And that's because of that Chalice of the Oracle, and you don't have to worry about your wards getting countered quite as much, which means that you can buy these chalices and just place them willy-nilly, basically. And when they do get countered, you just place another one. I love it on mid laners in particular, because it really does. 400 gold's a lot for mid laners, and that sets them behind their already expensive builds a decent amount. But
he's a bit out of position here. Double tap boulder, that was nicely executed. He won't get the triple though. If he blocks that dash away, Divios may have managed to find himself a solo kill.
Very, very close. Divios has been playing up this entire time on this right-hand side. And that's no surprise, because like I mentioned, very, very happy that Hercules back in the meta. Divios was once upon a time known for how strong his Hercules was, and you definitely don't want to fight it still.
Strike in hands coming into play as well. No ultimate available for Divios, but what he's looking to do there is just freeze Arizes off this minion wave and make sure he loses experience, or at least force to teleport if he can.
No ultimate used by Aruzis there. Very, very confident in his ability to make sure that he would get out with 1 HP. Dazzling offense still. up off cooldown.
But that is a power play now. Ares' teleport on cooldown. Divios can call that to Ullr, and Ullr could look to set something up around the Gold Fury, knowing that Divios can easily teleport across, while Ares is going to have to do the manual labor of using those boots that he's got online.
Especially with Divios hitting level 12, he can get his second relic and then immediately teleport to that Gold Fury and try and make a play happen for Ullr on that left-hand side.
Left-hand side, a bit of a grouping from Ullr for a moment there, but they don't really find anything. Back to the mid lane with 3 on 3. No real misplays so far coming out from either team. Obviously, that first blood was a nice little play at the start, which was the smallest mistake in the grand scheme of things from enemy, and they've done a good job of just pretty much keeping that even since.
It just hanging out, waiting until
Pain.
Pain. He's in a bad spot
Cast a
right
curse.
now. Nowhere to go. There's the Zeus ultimate on top, and they blow up Aror.
Aror's already dead. Pain will go down in trade, and Virizion on this guy looking to pick up Zapman, who came on this rotation. Stunned in place in mid. Chaos gets himself another kill to his name. Ares now joins the fray, as does Divios. Divios looks for the driving strike on Chaos, beads out, but takes the damage. Good boulder to avoid the stun, but he can't avoid the damage from Chaos again, as Chaos picks up all 3 kills in that skirmish.
It was all a bait from Pain Divion, completely calculated out of the captain and support. Chaos does a great job of zoning away Aror and just exploding him. No meditation possibility for the support player for Ullr. Gold Fury as well, going the way of enemy. That's the first big team fight we've seen, and what does Ullr do? They group up a little bit too much on that Zeus ultimate and pay the price for it.
It's a beautiful start from enemy now, especially after going down with that first blood and game 1 as well to add to that one. But the big difference here for me is the fact that a lot of people came into this, and it's pretty true, is everyone expected Ullr would be the safest bet for a 2-0 here. But you couldn't discredit enemy for making a split some way happen. And right now, that could be on the cards.
I mean, we had Noble's jungler, Chapo, on with us for the Domination podcast this week, and he said that he expected this to be a split because he thought that teams were undervaluing, and the general public was really undervaluing how good enemy is this season. He says that they're definitely on their way back to being what they were early on in Season 3 and towards the end of Season 2.
Well, I guess that's generally down for the major people of watching it, tuning in, is the fact that all that's happened with enemy since last split is they changed their solo laner. The rest of the team's still here, and it wasn't really the solo laner that everyone looked at in the grand scheme of things on paper of where the issues seem to lie with enemy at the end of last split.
Marauder was fine. He wasn't, the world's greatest solo laner by any stretch of the imagination, but he definitely wasn't a glaring weak spot for enemy. I think that the glaring weak spots for enemy were it seemed like the communication was a little bit off and just the team synergy wasn't quite there, and that's what this team was built around. These aren't the 5 greatest mechanical players in North America, but they work together well, and when that stops working, your team starts to look like a 7th, 8th place team. But if enemy can get back on track like they seem to have done early on in Season 4, they can really start to go back towards the top of North America.
Ares was playing very far up against Divios there. Divios got a nice combo onto Ares into the tower, but didn't do a whole lot of damage as Ares on the Amaterasu now got a bit more sustain involved in that kit and survivability with our Breastplate of Valor.
This is where Amaterasu starts to say, all right, I got bullied a little bit early on, but now I can take that bully, take that sort of poke damage from you and heal it up very, very nicely with my stand switch.
Pole Demon being looked at by enemy here, mainly for a bait, but there's a ward behind them near the Pole Demon where Panda Cat is right now. You can see it spinning there, and instead it's best. He's been pushed too far forward and deleted again. Aurora could be next on the list. Virizion going to go up to give a radar, but more than likely to escape. Or will he go in? He may be able to clean that up, but he can't get vision. He'll turn to Divios.
Nice stun onto him and then immediately bails. Panda Cat picked up Aurora. DJ, he's on to Panda Cat right now. Pain trying to give him a little bit of peel. Divios pushes Chaos back towards that tier 2 tower. Panda Cat finally able to dash away as those walls come crashing down. Chaos, he's gone. That's gonna be a pickup for Ullr. Divios able to smack him down with the club, get his first kill of the game. Good shutdown kill onto Chaos there because he had gotten 3 kills in a row, was worth a considerable amount of gold, and that puts Divios in a good spot now.
It was a 2-for-1 in favor of enemy there just to keep you in track at home. They were looking for a pick onto Zapman or Divios, and instead they won't find either as both of them just gonna go back to farming for the time being there. Where did Best disappear to? What exactly was it that hit him so damn hard.
The wall into the double tap, man. Thor is really, really potent right now in Season 4 because he synergizes so well with Bluestone the same way that we've seen Susano get a real big resurgence because of being able to buy Bluestone early on. You can just poke them out from a distance. And we saw that the rest of Eager kind of wanted to wrap around that Portal Demon. Aurora was down right where those mid-heartbeats are, basically. Portal Demon.
Tap, and it goes the way of enemy.
Still got it.
Divios going to catch Pain, though, and push him back towards that portal. But immediately, there is Arizes to support and disengage. Enemy continue to slowly make waves in this game.
Playing pretty well so far right now. They're up about 1,500 gold, it looks like. 1,300, yeah, 1,600 experience as well. So this is a team that, like I mentioned, they want to fight in the middle game, just like Eager does. But if you're both playing middle game compositions, whoever has that lead in the early game, it makes it very difficult for the enemy team to come back because you're both hitting your power spikes at the same time. But your power spike as the team that's ahead is going to be a little bit more impactful than if you're, 2,000, 3,000 gold behind.
That's true. It's almost like, more than anything, it's more position and who catches who how. And we saw Pain de Vion. He was in an awkward spot. He was too far forward. But when you look back at that fight, with him being out of position, his team collapsed in such a beautiful fashion that they managed to turn that on his head and now capitalize a little bit more. They're still looking to pressure the mid lane, though, at the moment. DJ under pressure here from Panda Cat, but Panda eats more. Then he gave out.
Just a little bit too far away to find that wall for Verizio. That could have spelled a lot of trouble for DJ, who has no purification beads. Instead, going for the Aegis and the Thorns combination, trying to be tanky frontline, and then Aegis the detonate right at the right time to make sure that he doesn't fall too fast.
Surprised by the investment of enemy to the mid lane here and towards the Gold Fury when the duo lane has been pushed in. They're just losing free farm over there, but maybe it'll answer back the Gold Fury. Raw doesn't want any of this, though. Great wall from Pain will slow that down, but he still gets stun boulder over the wall. Gold Fury's down. I believe he can stole that one away.
And now Divios finds Panda Cat. Aruzis finally picks up Aurora, but Chaos falls too quickly there to DJ Zapman along the backside, just hammering into the solo laner dash. Blocked away, plucked back in anyways. 3 kills the way of Eager. And yeah, the Gold Fury goes their way.
That, for me, looked like enemy just didn't know what the call was. It was so low, that Gold Fury, and they were like, no, hold, hold, hold. Aurora gets the stun off. The boulder comes into play. I actually think it was the boulder double tap off the wall that secured it, but it could have been any different thing there. It was crazy how that came into fashion. An enemy just tried to turn tail and run after the fight was, well, already half over.
Like you mentioned, I just think that the communication was a little bit off for enemy. They didn't know exactly what they want to do. They get the Gold Fury very low. Panda Cat tries to use his ult, I'm assuming to burn it because he knows he can't stun Aurora. He's already been CC immune for quite some time. Oh, nice pillar and stun there. Verizio taking a lot of damage from Zap. No hammer. He's dead.
No hammer. He will just get to the edge of the whirlpool, but it's too little too late. Best gets credit for that kill. And that was Verizio double tapping the wave just before off camera, where you knew he couldn't escape.
And he has no Aegis, instead went for teleport, it looks like. So going for the old Season 2 style of Thor, where you're trying to be all around the map all at the same time. It does mean that when he spawns in 23 seconds, if Eager is still trying to play aggressively, he could teleport in and make a play happen. But without the Aegis in that scenario, it cost him his life.
And the Tier 1 tower as well on the left, and now the Tier 1 tower in mid lane goes the way of Eager. Immediately they rotate around to the right-hand side because that Tier 1's pretty low as well. And DJ's already got a nice little group of minions if they want to try and continue the pressure here. Nice driving strike from Divios. Nice Earthbreaker too, but no follow-up from the team.
And just not enough damage here without Zap on this right-hand side. He's gone back to the duo lane to make sure he can pick up both these left side buffs that are spawning right now, and that farm away from Panda Cat.
And look at the difference in Hunter builds from Game 1 to Game 2 as well. We saw Apollo or Rama last time round. This time, both these Hunters have a very similar build. Transcendence, Warrior Tabby, into Fatalis as well. And it just shows you there's a lot more variety to the Hunters right now.
Absolutely.
Even though he's on Dig.
Quite a bit more. Yeah, he's a soul laner, so he doesn't really build these Fatalis items a whole lot. Both of these Hunters have good ability damage. Zap actually going to try to get dunked on here by Verizio, trading out more damage than he's taking courtesy of that Desert's Fury. Impales him. He's going in, trying to find the jungler.
He leapt over the ultimate coming out from Panda Cat too. Verizio's still alive though. DJ's in a bit of trouble here thanks to the pressure from Chaos, but Aurora's going to stop that down. Pain's wall will stop Chaos being pressured too much more for now, but still being teleported. There's a Kraken hits 2 of his members in the the other side. Arizes and Panda Cat are under pressure. Arizes will survive. Panda, different story.
Aror may try and dive this onto Chaos. He's got the meditation, the dash as well, but the slow from Chain Lightning as well as that wall from Virizial makes sure that Chaos is able to escape with his life. Excellent bait by Zapman, just waiting it out, waiting until his team gets there. And like you mentioned, the beautiful jump.
The timing of the jump, and that was all down to sound cues for me. I know for a fact, Zap knows when Medusa uses Petrify how long the cast time is. He leapt at the perfect moment to make sure he could get away from it. I'm surprised I didn't see Panda fire that early just to try and force Zap into a more awkward position.
Well, the idea there was good from enemy because if they pick off Zap early on in that fight, like they probably should have if Virizial's able to hit home with his ultimate, same goes for Panda Cat, then that's a 5v4 in enemy's favor. Even with 2 ultimates down, they probably were able to turn that fight because of the fact that they're fighting in the jungle. That's where they want to be fighting with this composition, and Chaos could probably find a good ult, good Chain Lightning, but they just can't find the kill, and it means that Ullr has enough damage there with Zapman's help to turn it around.
Surprisingly enough, I believe Zapman did not have beads, he didn't have beads available in that last fight. His Aegis wasn't even used in that fight either, which is quite funny when you think about it.
Didn't even need it.
Didn't even need it.
He lived, didn't he?
Don't buy relics ever again, Zap. That's the next challenge now. Play the Pro League for a whole split without using relics.
That's actually a great training technique. I needed it for quite some time.
You still need it.
I still do need it, but you buy no relics or you buy some that aren't going to help you at all to make sure that your positioning is as good as possible. It's a great way for players to really get better with their positioning.
I'm thinking like when I play them a support role, I'm going to pick Geb and pick Sunder. I'm thinking about starting that and see how that works out for me in the jungle.
Oh, you said the support role at first, so I was okay with it.
No, but well, technically it's still a support. But yeah, I mean, it would work in the support. Anyway, right-hand side, continuing to pressure the Portal Demon is available right now. Ullr has slowly been whistling down at this tier 1 tower, and Arizes is just back there every single time to be like, nope, you're not going to get the gold just yet, but you could just walk up and blow in at Divios if you wanted to.
Yeah, Divios can take this anytime he wants, but he's not really worried about doing so. Doesn't want to overextend too much. You can see how many blue players are on this right-hand side.
On the right side, because that's where all the focus is right now. The Fire Giant, the only real contestable objective, but Panda Cat and Zapman may go at it again soon. I don't think Panda's actually interested in that right now, because he's going to take the long walk round the back, worried about being pressured, and back to safety.
He has no tier 1 tower, and that's why you see him playing so safe, because he's got a long run to make if he gets in trouble from DJ. And like we mentioned, he doesn't have any way to get out of that Kabrakan ultimate other than just turning and walking back the way he came.
These 2 teams as well are really showing what I think we may see as the standard for Season 4, at least for the spring split right now, which is bursts of excitement and engagement into lulls in action while teams reposition, farm up, get their team situated, what the next objective is going to be, what do we need to do next to get ourselves the win in the game.
I mean, that's kind of always been the strategy for a lot of teams, especially early on in these seasons where they don't know exactly where the pressure points are, to make sure that you can take a little bit here and there, as well as now in Season 4, the buff timers are definitely more spread out than they used to be. Before, you could really count on a team to clear their buff timers on time every time, and then you can invade off of that knowledge. But with how many buffs there are in Season 4, how many different starts, how volatile the map can be, it's a little bit harder to find that timing for invades without ward coverage.
Fatalis online for TheBest as well now with the rest of his core build. This is pretty much the standard sort of build we've been seeing on most of the Poseidons as time's gone on here. A bit of defense into Gem of Isolation, into some penetration, but not just penetration, they go for the Fatalis version just for that extra mobility.
It is definitely lacking in terms of damage onto tanky targets because it is only 10 penetration instead of something like an Obsidian Shard with the percent pen or a Spear of the Magus that can really shred away protections very easily on a character like Poseidon. So you are limiting your damage by going Fatalis 4th item in this sort of scenario, but it gives you more mobility, more survivability. You can kite very, very well, and you could chase down kills very, very well as well.
Gold Fury started up by Ullr, Pendivion first on the scene, gonna drop the wall, and Ullr will reset. Pernicus knocked to half health right now. As you heard the teleport from Arizes come in, that means he's here. Virizial's having none of the escape from Pern right now. They're committing.
There's the Aegis from Pern as well, as it looks like no meditation popped. There, the wall actually hurts Aruzis. He's going in on the best, trying to find the two-man stone, but Divios around the back pushes Chaos directly into the damage from the Kraken.
Aror, however, still dies to the detonate, and Virizial picks up the best too. 5 members of enemy in very healthy position right now, and they can rotate back towards the Gold Fury. It's only Divios and Zapman here to defend. Paying with a wall to slow them down, looking to keep them busy. Gold is getting low. Gold
Rallying
is
ritual.
reset for the time being as a rallying ritual comes into play.
DJ's back. He's here to fight, but
Was
it's
it
still
worth
a
it, though?
4v3. Gold Fury doesn't get taken, but the two-man silence there, as well as that chain lightning, big damage coming out from Chaos. Divios trying to zone away the rest of the team, but the wall is still up from Pain. DJ, he came back, but he probably shouldn't have. He's going to fall here, I think.
So this is the investment of rallying ritual here when it goes wrong more than anything. A lot of people have been talking about rallying ritual. Maybe it's too strong. It gets you back to a team fight. Cool. But if you lose that team fight, you're wasting 750 gold. And in this case, this specific case, you're losing a fire giant potentially off it as well.
That's DJ just seems to have some bad luck with rallying ritual. I'm sure many of us have seen that that Reddit
The famous
clip. Yeah.
Poseidon. Was that you?
No.
It was something you would do.
It was. I love the sorry as soon as he backs, like he's standing right next to him.
Yep.
Poseidon's voice pack is great, man.
Gold Fury, though, for Eager should go their way now. Enemy did recall back to base. I don't think they can get here in time through the portal to come over and contest it, but they'll be happy with the result there. They found some picks. They got djpernicus away 750 gold on a ritual that didn't work it out, and then they get a fire giant and strip the jungle of Eager.
All 5 members of enemy with that fire giant. They've got a ton of siege potential here because of that damage aura from Amaterasu, really boosting that damage from Panda Cat onto these structures. Panda Cat doesn't have a whole lot of penetration, I don't think. Last time we checked out on his build, he only had that Fatalis, so it may take him a little bit longer. He has gone for chins on top of that, so yeah, no Titan's Bane, nothing that's going to help him knock down those towers a little bit faster, but you just do so much damage to objectives with Amaterasu that it's not really going to matter too much.
And not just like the fire giant buff as well, does have you swing a little bit harder at these objectives. Looks like enemy do want to fight in mid lane for a moment, but 5 members of Eager are here. We're going to see a straight up fight potentially between the two. Pillar is now on cooldown from Zap as his wall from Pain to be on. Erezi's still tanking up the front line here, taking for repo because no one is currently investing anything into the tower.
All teams have their ultimates. You can see Best still waiting for about 15 seconds on his defensive relics as his Panda Cat Divios immediately stunned away.
But he's still alive. The heal comes out straight away with a mid-game wounds and he's in a very healthy position. The walls from DJ are great. The Kraken to follow it up too. But Erezi stands tall. So does Pain. Pulled into danger as Erezi once more, but it's Divios and the front line of Eager that has been whittled away. The fire giant buff is helping them.
So much sustain though for Eager. They've got these heals from Aror. Pain so tanky at this stage of the game. Level 16, stood in that whirlpool forever. A teleport from Divios, not a ritual, just the relic. He's here and he wants to fight. Pushes Aruzi's back, but immediately gets frozen out. Gonna take a lot of damage from that chain lightning. Aruzi's still doing a great job frontlining. Chaos and Panda Cat still completely healthy.
Enemy are really using this fire giant to continue the regen and go aggressive, continuing to poke Eager down and force them back. The battle of wills goes the way of enemies. They get the tier 2 and now transition towards the left-hand side of the map where a tier 1's waiting and then maybe another siege at the tier 2.
Well, the tier 2 is the tier 1's falling to 1 auto attack there from Panda Cat, but Eager definitely has the option to defend this tier 2 if they so choose. All of enemy is here, but you see a lot of big ultimates coming off cooldown very, very soon for both sides. Kraken almost up, as well as Lightning Storm and Anvil of Dawn's ready to go.
Veriziel up in the sky. Immediately Eager want to fall back here away from this. Veriziel biding his time, allowing his team to get free pressure on the tier 2. That's very low. 2 more hits will do it from Panda Cat. Make that 1. Enemy get the tier 2. Eager do a very good job of slowing down the advance of enemy though, even though they had the fire giant.
Only a minute left on this fire giant for enemy. I think they thought the Gold Fury was still up. No one had really gone over here, and that would have been a big swing in gold for enemy, getting 2 tier 2 towers and the Gold Fury, but Eager had smartly taken that away immediately after enemy took that fire giant. They still get about 3,000 gold there, 3,500 with that tier 1 on the left-hand side as well. So you can see they're up about 5,000 gold, only 35 seconds left on this fire giant though for enemy. So the next point of contention probably going to be that fire giant and portal demon on this right hand side.
Well, now Eager just pushing out all their lanes for the time being, making sure they can bide a bit of time, get some more control back on the map. And you can also see that by the amount of wards they've got down in the right hand side jungle around the fire giant, around the speed and blue, just in case enemy bite off a little bit more than they can chew.
You've got to get that ward coverage, make sure that you know exactly where everyone is. Pain.
That was really risky in the grand scheme of things. I don't think you expect to see that many people there.
He's really tanky. He's really tanky, but that's still, I mean, by yourself at 28 minutes.
Against Zapman and Divios, I mean, let's be honest, when you are tanking late game, cool story, bro. But when you're against a full build hunter, pretty much, that's risky.
Very risky, especially with how much penetration Zapman has in this build. I love this build path. You can see the 200s kind of diverge a little bit. Panda Cat goes for the chin size and then into the crit. whereas Zapman follows his chin size up with that Titan's Bane. Personally, I think that Zap's build does a little bit more damage sustained-wise. If Panda Cat rolls high and gets a couple crits in a row, great. But he doesn't have a whole lot of penetration to help with that chin size passive. Remember, that is affected by protection.
That's true, but those crits, you know, if they do connect in a team fight, that is a person doing less damage for a few seconds.
Yeah.
And that damage is very important when you come against teams at the highest level as well. So risk versus reward, I guess, is the play between the two.
Very true. You got some options on both sides. Again, really surprised we don't see Verizial pick up a Brawler's Beatstick here. Aurora's been healing basically uncontested. No Divine Ruin, nothing about that
He's
sort.
on Divios,
He's
but not
off for a
whole lot of
while.
investment. Great pillar once again from Zap. They've really been on point to slow down the advances of Team Enemy for the time being. Eager just position themselves around the Gold Fury right now and just relaxing, waiting for their opportunity. Eager do control the pit though right now, which is a good thing for them.
They've got that ward coverage, and they have the sustain again from Aror that allows them to have these sustained fights that Enemy really doesn't. We saw Enemy take a sustained fight last time on that Tier 2 tower siege, but that's because of that Fire Giant buff.
Divios being pressured again, but that wall was just a little bit too far forward. It was on his heels and not on his toes, and that's why Divios slipped through. But Verizial's having none of this. He's going in again.
Best is going to get taking a lot of damage there and immediately uses both relics to create a little bit of space. DJ left alone in this jungle along with Divios. Panda Cat dashes into the wall, but luckily for him, the Earthbreaker a little bit off for Divios.
Divios on zone duty, keeping Chaos and Panda Cat away, and Panda Cat and Chaos are scared to walk around the corner. But now a huge petrify into a Zeus as well. Destruction! Chaos is going to pick up Burn. Auror's running for his life. Chaos on the other side is chasing down Zap, and Chaos will bring him down with the in-hand. Enemy, I thought they were scared about going in, but it was just a trap, and Eager fell hook, line, and sinker for it.
Unbelievable. Panda Cat just says peekaboo around the corner and stuns 4 people into a Zeus ultimate. Enemy trying to give Eager their first loss. Best gonna fall deicide for Enemy, and they will do just that. Huge comeback there.
It's a split. Was it a comeback though? Because Enemy.
That's true, yeah, they were right there.
They control the whole game. I want to say, you can see the graphs. There was a moment where Eager took the lead.
That fight was a comeback though for Enemy. Enemy was losing that fight, but they still had 2 game-changing ultimates, and that's exactly what we saw get put to use perfectly by Enemy. Panda Cat just sneaks around that corner. That was nuts, dude. That was crazy.
Close the game. Taco,
wow.
Show us some replays. I need to see them.
What a way to end the game indeed. Pretty phenomenal set coming out on the side from Team Eager and Enemy, which I don't think many people were really expecting to see the split coming through today, but it shows that Enemy is most certainly a top contender in the side of North America, and they're definitely a team to be on the lookout for. In game number 1, we actually saw Team Eager playing the steady, stale game that they like to do at the start of it, and Enemy was actually, they seemed pretty okay with doing that, but I think a lot of what it came down to on the side of Team Eager was the drafting. The sustain that came out on the side of Eager was absolutely devastating for Enemy. 30k healing is pretty crucial, considering that any time that Enemy was trying to engage, Team Eager was just automatically putting them in the back foot by just backing off of objectives, backing off of team fights, and then re-engaging. And when you have a double healer composition coming out like Eager did, it becomes very easy to go ahead and sustain your team through these team fights. And djpernicus actually got things started off pretty strong for the side of Team Eager, going ahead and picking up that early double kill in the mid lane. But most importantly, it was really a collective team effort from Eager in game number 1, because not only was their draft just strong overall, but on top of that, it individually all showed up in this game, which ultimately led to them going ahead and picking up the W in game number 1. It's really crucial when you can go ahead and see their draft really come alive, in that they had so much chase down potential, because they had the Poseidon cripple, then they had the Terror Root, and in case anybody happened to escape from that, you've got an Apollo with his ultimate, and djpernicus on that Fenrir just going ahead and brutalizing into everybody, being okay with being a sacrificial lamb if it meant that his team was going to be securing all of these picks and kills and to ultimately win them team fights, which is really important overall. And then this was a pretty fun play from Aror at the very end there, going ahead and getting a little bit of support love, picking up the double kill in the fountain. You know, there's always a little bit of fun in BM when it comes out to getting those fountain kills. But most importantly, it ultimately led to Eager going ahead and picking up game number 1. But game number 2 was really the turning point for Enemy. in that they had a really steady pace. Again, a bit of a shaky start as well, considering that they did fall behind in that early game. But there was never really that much of a goal deficit between either of these two teams. Enemy at any point in time was really only down by about 2K throughout this game. And it's really important considering that Enemy could go ahead and just have a little bit more map control between their setup with the Emir walls into the Zeus ultimates. And we saw Chaos actually getting to come online after that rough start, in that he was able to go ahead and secure that early triple, which ultimately helped him to go on ahead and regenerating the lead that he was trying to establish from the get-go, punishing Zapman for being out of position, punishing a lot of the members of Team Eager anytime they were found on the opposite side of the wall that they wanted to be on. And overall, the draft was much stronger from Enemy this time around, in that they had a lot more solid peel and carry potential for that Zeus to really just let him go ahead and get his free casting off, which would ultimately lead to them picking up the team fight victories. And those are really essential, considering that you want to go ahead and be on the lookout, because Panda Cat is just right there coming in strong with the Petrify. And this was the really turning point of this game, considering that right after that, Enemy was able to go ahead and secure game number 2 and break Eager's undefeated streak. But of course, with any strong team composition, you've got to have a really strong leader behind it. And for that, we actually have Payne Divion here with us today. Payne, how are you doing?
Hey, what's up, Taco? I'm doing pretty good.
Feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, we got our nice victory. The first game, we've learned, I think, a lot from our team comp and what they played. So, can't complain.
Yeah, you guys had a really strong set last weekend, and then this weekend coming in against a team like Eager. I'm sure you guys have got to be feeling pretty good about picking up the split.
Well, considering the fact that Eager, like, I think they were first place last year at the end of the split, and then they were first place, I believe, tied with probably some other team going into this. I think it just shows that if we can manage to pick up a 1-1 or a 2-0 even what's in the future, that means we can probably hike ourselves back to first place like we were at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, and I mean, you can definitely tell that there's a lot of team synergy coming in for the side of you guys, considering that your roster is essentially the same. But how have things been adjusting with the new solo laner?
He's a very good rank player, which is a bit harder in scrims. He does a lot of rank stuff that we try to mitigate as much as possible, but so far it's a work in progress. And right now I'm very satisfied with what he's doing, the way he plays, and I think that we've agreed to the team with the team that he's a very smart player, and it shows when we talk about analysis of games, the way he plays. So probably going to be good to go for the rest of the split.
All right, well, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you guys in the games to come. So is there any kind of shout-outs you want to go ahead and give?
Yeah, actually, one of them especially to Panda Cat. Shout-outs to Panda Cat for playing like in Africa. He had like 990 ping, I think, every now and then in the game. Like, it was going up and down nonstop. You might have seen him like stutter and teleport at some point because he was lagging so much. And he still managed to do pretty well. And then shout-outs to Trump for giving me these amazing walls.
Well, that's always, I'm glad to see that where you picked up your expertise from, because those are some pretty good walls indeed. And right now, I mean, just congratulations again to Enemy for going ahead and picking up the split, not letting themselves fall too far behind after week number 2. And with